Welcome to another episode of the Love Change podcast. Lovely Kay here. I'm more present always on Tuesdays. If you tune in live, you know what it's about. If you're checking us later, subscribe on YouTube, add it to your favorites on Spotify, Apple. Give us a rating. If you love change, if you like to get dirty with it, if you know what mess it can be, then you're part of our clique. Part of our clique.
Part of our gang.
It's spring again and spirits are up. So today, the topic...
This one's very especially.
I'm a very spring flower.
Yeah.
So we thought we'd switch it up today and we're going to talk about how we inspire each other to change, to do the difficult things, and how we inspire each other. So you and I have been living together for over a year now.
Ha! Yeah, right.
Made it. Survived.
Made it in Corona times for over a year.
Yeah, it's...
Boom. That deserves something really precious.
You deserve another year. No. No more lockdown.
Please, oh Lord.
All jokes aside, in the last year, I've seen Kay go through plenty of changes. And I myself also always like to change things up. And I've been able to change some things that I struggled with in the past. And I think it's an interesting conversation to have had about, what are the things that were, easier or within reach, or you felt safe enough to lean into change-wise because you saw somebody in your proximity every day, basically, that mirrored you like that confronted you with what you actually want or need, but struggle with having. What do you think?
I think.
Do you think?
Yeah, sometimes I do. Not so much today, but
share.
I'm trying to gather it together to make it sound really good. I think it was a very interesting year of changing, influencing each other, inspiring each other, being awkward with each other, and seeing change coming upon yourself, influenced by the other person. I find that really interesting, and I think we went through a lot. Of course, especially because of Corona, and we've been on a couple of trips, had literally spent plenty 24/7s.
Oh yeah.
So I think that's where you just cannot hide any of your weirdness. And
so that's what inspires you to change, the other person's weirdness? Tell me more.
No. No, but I think that's where you really see the full spectrum of a person. And
out of their comfort zone,
kinda rubs off on you, of course. Exactly. Like you can pretend the nice side, but if you spend 24/7, then you're gonna see everything. And then you can see which awkward change it creates in you, which good change, what is really powerful for you.
So what do you think is the biggest thing that changed for you, or you were able to change for yourself, that wasn't the case without me or without another person?
I think your mindset of like really just showing up and just doing things was really shaking up my whole world in some sense.
How?
I found that, I would really come prepared, do some more preparation, do some more research, etc., etc. And then maybe consider launching something, but still not sure. And you just show up. You just really show up with your full person and just press the button. You've been pushing me last year to be like, just launch your shop. And I was like, but it's far away from ready, etc., etc. But you just do it. But seeing it, how you do it and how you show up for things was really inspiring. I was like, oh, actually, I might be able to do it too.
What made you think that?
Because it looked... You seem to have success with it, first of all, but it just looked playful. It looked like fun. It looked like something that is enjoyable to do instead of planning everything ahead.
You saw that there was more fun.
I really like it. I'm like, why not? So that got me really way more into a flow state, which I absolutely adore. I really, really like it. And also seeing me on a podcast I think it's also usually I would prepare way more and maybe read a bit in some sense. And I'm just like, okay, just gonna show up, be my best self, give all I got, think a bit, share a lot, and here I am.
Reflect, learn.
But I think that's also, that's the part that people like about us, because we don't necessarily prepare what we like to say and what we don't like to say, but we just say.
No.
We don't
I usually hear the things that are coming out of my mouth for the first time, just like everybody else who is around. Sometimes I hear stuff coming out of my mouth and I'm like, did I just say that? Let me think how I actually feel about saying such a thing.
Interesting.
Usually that happens before it reaches your mouth.
Yeah.
For me, it
so
just comes after the fact. Like,
just do it.
Hey, you, shut up. Sorry.
Yeah.
Was I thinking out loud?
Mm-hmm. How do you feel about it? What was your biggest challenge in retrospect to change?
For me, looking at you everyday life, the amount of self-care you give yourself and the amount of care you give me, to really think of seeing the value in that, seeing the beauty in it, and also just realizing that again it's a form of self-love that is about, like, I don't know, just you don't have major routines. You tell me that like girls have bigger makeup routines or whatever routine, which is true. I believe that, but I do see your consistency and also with the food and just how do you say it in Dutch? They say genoegen nemen met minder. It means being okay with less.
Yeah.
Not per se being okay, but just being
content?
Being content with less. And I used to do that personally a lot, and everything regarding to me business-wise also maybe. And as much as I definitely push you to not do it business-wise, personally I would do it a lot. And also I've seen instances that you or my sister are like, hey, you shouldn't be doing that business-wise. To just not be in my own best interest.
Yeah, I would say in some sense I really could see that you would put yourself really last. When it comes to, like, I don't know, calling for someone to check up on your wheelchair, etc. Like things that you really need and are really important. As I say, sharpen the soil. Like, you need to have that, otherwise it's difficult to move. And that kind of stuff, you would really put it less. And then I'm like, no, it's like how important you are. And it's nothing egoistic in any sense, but it's just like, I am important. I need that care and service, period. I'm going to make someone show up.
Exactly. And relying on people.
Yeah.
I think that's one thing that I think was the biggest in retrospect, even more maybe than self-care or self-love. Or maybe it's part of it.
Probably.
It's related definitely to be like, I can rely on you. And for instance, another one is us starting off and you were like really interested in helping me with work. And I was like keeping the boat off. And I'm actually happy we did like that, because now with the foundation there.
Yeah, it's further. It is definitely
business-wise, we're definitely within each other's arm reach. If you want feedback, if you want input, if you need help.
Yeah.
But I don't think I would have been comfortable with doing the interaction professionally if on a personal level we wouldn't been comfortable of receiving and giving and sucking and excelling and just feeling okay and safe with another person who might be better in certain things than you are. And just being like, hey, actually that means my team is stronger because we're a team now. And I think the team ideology, as much as I like to be a team member and I'm good at it, I always definitely kept the idea of me having a team definitely further away from me. I would be part of a team, but having a team would be a different
interesting
experience for me. So that's definitely a big growth. that I think I definitely have because of you, because it felt right. I'm not saying because I see you do many team things and that inspired me, but I think the whole journey
Yeah.
of figuring stuff out and trying again and all that allowed me to also rely on you in that sense.
Yeah. Now, what did you say? Relying and not dependent. Didn't you say that recently?
Yeah, I think that's a really
Learn
big
to
one when
rely.
it comes to any type of relationship that is based on trust and equality, so to say. That like like people are like, this is a codependent relationship, which is the wrong version of it. But I think what you always said, the A and the H, like the A, people are leaning on each other if one falls.
Yeah.
You know, that's the codependence, but the H relies on each other
Yes,
somehow.
there's this connection between the H.
Yeah, but I didn't feel like there is, like it could also be two I's. That what's the difference between two I's and an H? Is that connection?
Yeah, like it stands on its own. So if the connection falls away, it doesn't collapse.
I agree
That's-
with that, but still, like relying on each other, having each other's back, has nothing to do with the A and the H. I just don't think it comes across. Like as much as the A explains so well what a codependency is, the H doesn't describe the value of relying on each other. You know?
Yeah, I agree.
I think within any relationship, if you want to have the feeling that it's mutually beneficial and added value, then just as much as the other person relies on you, which I allow very easily, and I'm very person that people rely on quickly because I'm stable and communicative. For me to rely on another person was
It's a whole different
it's a whole different journey for
agree
me.
on that. Yeah, I think also connected to the idea that you are in a wheelchair and you have been used to do all this stuff by yourself. Like you didn't need anyone.
Yeah, that's a big
But
part
to
of
allow
it.
that is also a different thing.
So a big part of it is the daily practice to be comfortable with you carrying that load, while maybe in the past I might say carrying that burden.
Yeah.
But now I see like, it's actually a load that I can carry. You're willing to help me carry it.
That's nice. I like the rephrasing also. I think that's really powerful.
But I feel like when I look at you the past year, one thing you don't mention, because you're like, just do it, the business stuff.
No.
I've seen you make many changes on personal level and your self-image and your relationship with food.
No.
So I think you're skipping that part. It's like it's all
Not
about
skipping
business.
it. No, but I think the business one is like that was my whole background past. That was super big portion of who I was. That's why changing that and just doing
It's an ongoing process,
it's a
though.
whole
If you
different
look
thing.
back at last week, you
Yeah.
had a presentation that you felt like you needed to prepare for it,
Yeah.
but you actually didn't prepare for it
Yeah.
because, I don't know. But, so those two ways of being are still figuring it out together.
Definitely, but it was a big way to go to like really change into that. And on my personal side, I totally agree. The way I show up and the way I am around food, etc., is a whole different thing.
What is etc.?
I don't know.
Like food, etc. There's more there.
No, I think as a person, just also letting go of so many things and not being defined by things. That's the etc. part. I think that's also like it changed a lot. I sold my bicycle and my motorbike. I sold my bicycle. I sold my my boat. I sold plenty of my things that I was owning, and
But that was related to me?
Also, like it was
That's
really.
interesting.
I mean, it was a journey, but I think it was also seeing that I definitely don't need it at all.
I do know I was the person that was saying, how much are you paying for that? And how often are you using it?
Yeah,
And why do you actually need it? What's
Yeah.
the deal here?
definitely. So I think that was a big change.
I was confronting you with those things.
Yeah. But I think, it's beautiful to see like how light it can get if you get rid of that stuff. So I think that was really also inspiring. Something in me was super conflicted with that, but I was like,
Conflicted with what?
Yeah, like changing so much because it was not just one area that changed. It was literally like turning 180 degrees.
And what areas were more those things?
I think personally, as really like in my character traits,
Yeah.
yeah, I think so. That's the biggest part.
What does that mean? I don't get it.
Yeah, to really be way more playful, just show up, just do things, not overthink, be much easier with food, just allow life to have you. I think that's the best way I would phrase it. Yeah, I think that's just like, I don't know, it feels way more being in the moment and way more just really flowing through life. That's how I feel. And I think since meeting you and seeing how easily you just take things and how little excuses you are making, that got me really inspired, because I was like, you're the first person that could say, oh, I can't because I'm in a wheelchair. And you're actually the last person to say that, to pull that card. And I found that really amazing. And I was like, yeah, you have literally zero excuses. Why would I have any? And that really shifted my perception.
No, I think the nice thing about excuses, it's already in the word that we have to make excuses. You can have a situation or need a exemption or just that's a situation. You cannot deny it, but an excuse is something you choose to have or choose not to.
Yeah.
So the thing is,
that's a conscious choice. Yeah.
Yeah, you don't have to have excuses.
True. Yeah, but I had plenty.
You can have circumstances. Well, let's go on the food part, because I like how you said that the way I'm living is seeing how much easier it can be. Just take it as it comes.
Yeah.
Because if you would describe how you would deal with food in the past and what changes you made this year, how would you describe it?
It would just, first of all, it would really stress me to be around food. To choose for food, because I would think all those ways of like, oh my gosh, carbohydrates, calories, whatever, would like just really stress the fuck out of me all the time. And that's not really a pleasant thing, but you can only see it when you change. That's the whole thing. Like now I see it. Now I'm like, oh my gosh, how much of my brain capacity was I blocking with those type of thoughts? But yeah, now you can see it. Now you can say it. And now you really see the big difference. And that is just so much easier. Like, okay, I get up and maybe my belly is a bit round because we had late dinner or whatever last night. And usually I'll be like, okay, those pants don't fit. Day is literally gonna be shit. And nowadays I wake up and I'm like, yeah, then take another pair of pants. Fine. Go on with your life. Like, yeah. It's like, it's not the end of the world. So it
wasn't just the eating, it was being in your skin, like am I...
Of course, not really liking this body as much as I should like it and as much as it is beautiful, seriously. It's a super powerful body, went through so much shit.
Yeah, I really, it hurts me when I see people have a poor relationship with their body. I'm like, yeah,
you have no idea.
No, besides you have no idea. You take so much of your body for granted.
That's what I mean.
That you're like nitpicking, oh, I don't like this here. Or this titty. I have a titty. I'm going to be sad about my titty. So many people struggling with their breathing or some weird allergy. You yourself have had plenty of allergies. So,
but I added that to the list. Struggling more with my body.
You liked it.
Was not enough.
Yeah, you liked it.
Yeah, so I think that for me, honestly, that's a huge change, and I really appreciate it, because seeing this man eating is just a pleasure on its own. Seriously.
Don't act like you're just looking at the food.
Not anymore.
No.
The big competition is who's the bigger grizzly.
Somebody feels like sponsoring this podcast to feed the co-host. I cannot deal with these organic cookies anymore, man. It's too much organic cookies. No,
yeah, but you literally waking
up. No,
up.
what you told me, I think that's the one that really stuck with me. How many times you said, like, I don't know, if we ate a pizza or nothing bad, we like, okay, we don't. Yeah, you can say pizza is a bad food.
No, but I would think that.
Yeah, if you get pizza from a good place, it has good fresh produce on it.
But the idea that it's like carbohydrates and so much calories, that would stress me out, just that on its own.
Yeah, I remember you were counting, like, yeah, I already ate so much today. I'm like, what did you eat?
Yeah, you like...
What did
your measurement is like completely different. Eat a whole bowl of fruit, it's just water.
It is. If you're
It's just
vegan,
water.
you're basically
But
just
if you
consuming
change your
water.
mindset, that's the whole thing. Your body takes it on. Like now I even impress myself sometimes on how much I can eat and how skinny I still am. And I'm like, find a mistake. No, if you tell that to your body and your mind, your body takes it. It's just
I think
pizza,
still you can tell yourself, oh, it's just water, and then eat a bunch of crap and get fat. So I don't completely believe that.
No, but
your perception of what is little and what is much is completely off.
Yeah, I agree.
Super off. But then also what you said, that's what stuck with me the most is feeling guilty after eating something.
Yeah, horribly.
Yeah, this one, I'm happy that I do not see an ounce of that left ever.
No, that is completely raised.
Maybe you feel
Really
guilty if
raised.
you eat something and leave nothing for me. And
Oh, no.
And you're also not. See,
No.
nobody cares. But
And maybe feel guilty if
the-
I really overeat, like this moment where it kicks in and you
you
know
feel
it
bad.
was
You
too
don't
much.
know. You don't feel bad. You don't
Yeah.
feel guilty.
Yeah.
No, but that guilt was like, oh, I ate pizza
Mhm.
and now I'm a bad person because I'm going to get fat.
Yeah.
And then... And
That
then,
was just that dialogue, that monologue, not really a dialogue, but kind of also dialogue, would go on in my head back and forth. Really.
I know that Shia is tuned in. Shia is a big food person.
Food.
Yeah, he's always commenting on everything with food. What do you do to recharge? Food. How do you celebrate life? With food. And what's your last name? Ramen at 3:30 in the morning. Because why sleep when you can have ramen?
Because I'm vegan.
Yeah, it's vegan. It's okay.
We celebrate those people, really
We
do.
love you, bro.
What's wrong with carbs? Thanks. On
Yeah.
the other channel as well. Totally agree. Nothing is wrong, but I thought something is wrong with carbs. So yeah, through my macrobiotic excursion, I really learned that carbs are basically the fuel for your body's engine. And since I understood that, it really made it much easier.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you just don't burn full flame. You just burn
It's
low
all
flame.
short term
It
fuels.
doesn't really ignite your engine if you don't eat carbs. So that's why also
You also just feel hungry if you don't eat carbs. This whole conversation we don't have is like, are you not hungry? You ate nothing. Like, no, I like some chickpeas. No, seriously.
So yeah, that was a big change, definitely.
Yeah,
Big inspiration.
and
big
what
source.
what about living with me allowed you to become the grizzly that you are today?
First of all, it was just really fascinating to see someone enjoying food so much. I was like, I want to have that in capital. I want to have that because that's just amazing. And then, the more I was allowing it, the more I would not see any changes in my body. So I was like, let me try a bit more. Let me try a bit more.
It was like steps.
Yeah, so like I would go for a week on like eating more and then I would not see a change in my body. And then I was like, okay, so I'm going to kick in 2 weeks. So let me try a bit more and let me find that edge of like how
So you're
much.
still trying to gain weight, see when it happens. This is the
No, not really.
Yeah.
Yeah, but kind of like, I think that was really, it was the biggest trigger to really allow that. You know?
No. Yeah, I also think this whole idea of that's what we were talking about. Like we don't have bad produce in the house. There's no processed sugar.
Yeah.
There's no bad salt. You can eat everything in the house and have a healthy diet. Like
Yeah. Why we shouldn't eat a jar of peanut butter in one go?
if you do, you won't feel like peanut butter for a month.
You
like
probably will not feel like food
it's
for a week.
yeah, it's a struggle to eat so much peanut butter.
Yeah.
You won't, but
Yeah, but the point is if you starve your body, like I had times where I could not have food around me because my body was so
hungry.
underfed and hungry that I would just like inhale everything.
Yeah, you wouldn't be malnourished, basically.
That's why. So then you just don't understand how it works to have food in your house because you're like, cannot deal with that shit. So you gotta get to a point where your body is again like, Okay, we are functioning on a
Also,
basic
you would
level.
have instances that like you would be so hungry and you would know there's food in the house and it would keep you up at night.
Yeah, sometimes.
Oh, cannot imagine.
Yeah, I know you cannot. That's good. That's really good. that
What
you
I
cannot.
can is like being in bed, being too tired to get up to get a glass of water, and now I can ask you, rely on you, be cool with that.
Yeah,
Those things. Yeah. So it's a back and forth.
absolutely.
Yeah. Also, it's too late to eat something. That's what I'm like. Wow, if I'm hungry, but it's too late to eat something. If you eat late, you go to hell. Bad Christians eat late. What?
Yeah. How about any awkward changes that came on you
Awkward?
because of Mia? Things you don't like, things you don't enjoy.
About myself changing?
Yeah. Is there anything?
No, I don't really.
Good for me if there is nothing, but
No, apparently you have a bunch, so you can start touching.
I asked.
Yeah, you asked because you had some. Let me ask this question. You have to ask it back.
No, that's not the reason.
Nah, but yeah, I do notice that I now am used to a certain level of like. That's why I always was like, we have to live Bear Grylls style, no comfort, adapt, improvise, overcome. And I see you like packing your tea whenever you go outside, whatever, like really taking good care of yourself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do it for the two of us.
Yeah.
When we go together.
Yeah, and then I'm like, still when I go by myself, I'm like, no, I will survive outside.
In the wild.
In the wild, the urban jungle. So I think that's one thing that I still find interesting, that I'm like, that's your style. Your style is a bit different than my style.
Mm-hmm.
Which I also like. If I go somewhere and I can grab a drink there, why would I bring my own tea? I just don't get it. But you're like, no, it has to be my tea.
I drink a lot, first of all.
You don't have to explain. We can just bring your tea and
Okay.
live a good
I'm just gonna
life.
bring my tea, yeah. Because that's my
Yeah, that's your style. Like,
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, they have cups there. There's a water boiler. I can make a cup of. I like the process of just making tea elsewhere. Also, don't have to.
Yeah,
be,
but if everything is closed, not so easy. So
oh, right,
I'm kind
no,
of the pre-prep person. Definitely.
yeah, but if you go to the collab, for instance, I'm like, there's a super nice kitchen there.
And I always fuck up with the.
You can learn. You can talk to people. It's
Yeah.
okay.
I agree.
Otherwise, no awkward changes. How about you? Since you asked the question.
I really asked it because I was trying to ask a question. I don't have any. Really,
No,
no.
you don't have no
No,
awkward
you have
changes.
some awkward qualities on you, but that's not.
I
that
know,
doesn't
that
mean
wasn't
I'm
the question.
thinking at all. I know.
No, that was the awkward qualities. I have plenty.
Absolutely. No, really not.
Yeah, what is the change that you have ahead of you that you hope I help you with coming period, or like that you rely on me to really make momentum? Because I don't think the changes we made were impossible by ourselves, but they definitely became more consistent and fast and really turned into habits instead of you by yourself trying to eat a little bit more, or me by myself trying to take a bit more care of myself and then being like, fuck it.
I think it's also the other person really challenges you. If you see a certain behavior, you're like, damn, it's in my face every day. So that also brings you way further to like exponentially explore this kind of change, right? So yeah, I think what I'm learning from you, still, and there's so much potential, is to really speak up in the moment. If I don't like something and if I'm not happy with something, to really, like, I have those little signals from my intuition, like, I don't like, but sometimes I'm still too polite to speak it out. And you are like super connected in the moment and you really speak it out, and I love that. But the way you speak it out is never rude, it's very polite, but still you would always speak it out. It's I find that super powerful. I'm really just like, whatever you put out there, I'm like, oh wow, let me take a mental note of how you phrase it, because it's so good, so powerful.
About stuff that I don't like.
Yeah.
For instance,
Yeah.
I disagree with this, or
Yeah.
It's not my style.
Yeah, and I still struggle with that. I think I'm way further than I have ever been, but I still
And
struggle.
what's the struggle in it? The politeness?
Yeah, kind of to really speak out that emotion that just arises in that moment and be like, no, actually, I don't like that. No, actually, I don't want to do that. No, like, you would pick my favorite example of making Snickers for that lady. It's kind of like fighting with myself because I'm like, maybe there's something good in it, like finding excuses for it instead of saying, listen, a very polite way, listen, this is what I'm doing now, I'm not doing that anymore. It just doesn't make sense for me. But I can give you the recipe, as I said afterwards. You know, afterwards I had the perfect reply, so to say,
but it took you a while to
exactly
you
to
had to
came up
make
with
it, get pissed off it, and be like, oh, never again.
and then be like, yeah, next time I would tell. But actually I had that in my mind, so I'm like, why am like this transfer of what is in my head,
Because
what
she
is in my
didn't,
intuition.
she asked you if you still do it.
Yeah.
And you were like,
It's
what
not-
do you need? Instead
Exactly.
of, no, actually
It's
I
like,
don't.
yeah, I kind of like really have a talent to like do something according to the person that is asking, you know, like cater my reply according to the person that is asking, and you
Well,
really
how did
stay
you do that in a
super firm to
leadership
yourself.
position?
It
Because then you have to stand your ground and actually.
you have to, yeah.
Mm.
But it was also like really partly fighting with myself, but you really have a very firm quality of just like being true to yourself and being like, this is literally my line.
I don't. I'm amazed that you're so inspired by my way of doing, because
I really love it.
I also struggle with it. You also see me making mistakes with it, saying yes, and then being like, actually, it's a no, and then coming back to me like, hey, I know I said this and that, but
Yeah, but even that, the way you phrase it then, I know I said yes, but, and the way you phrase it then is really powerful.
no, I
It's
think
very-
you can. I
it's
think you
very
can as
strong.
well.
Yeah.
It's not a lack of skills in speaking or
No, but really speaking out your opinion.
yeah,
and
your
what you
intention
really feel.
and that you have a good
Absolutely.
intention.
Yeah.
I think that's.
What is
So-
your side on where you still can learn?
I think definitely still as an entrepreneur, asking for more help is
Mhm.
something that maybe not related to you, but it's something that I aspire to do. To really become good at reaching out to people and being like, hey, this is the mission, this is the vision, this is the vessel. Are you willing to be a part of this bigger thing?
And it's something that got me really surprised because I'm like, you have been an entrepreneur your whole life, and then to struggle with that is, I found it really interesting to observe.
I have always been the helper.
Yeah.
So I would
All right.
always
Perspective.
arrive to situations, be like, okay, this is what that person needs, and I'm smart enough to learn all the things that it needs and requires.
Yeah.
And I'm really good at that. That's why I
Get that.
join different things, and I'm like, boom, I'm suddenly there on point.
Mm-hmm.
But to be comfortable with asking for help, be comfortable with other people offering me help and me
Making
receiving
time for
it,
you.
yeah, all that stuff. Like
Yeah.
with our intern with Itzy.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out to Itzy. She's the reason why we have such great Instagram channels. If you think they're great,
Not
I think
only.
it's great.
So much more, seriously.
Yeah, and such a
Yeah.
creative force, such a vibrant energy
Yeah.
to be dedicated to me. To you, I understand it. Okay,
It's
but then to
interesting.
me, and then I'm like, and so that part to really actually see that also as a part of
What's the difference?
being acknowledged. I think, like if somebody's putting
Tell me
their,
more.
like, I think if I'm on a stage speaking in front of people, if I'm in front of a group sharing a workshop,
Mm-hmm.
if I'm coaching somebody, these are all moments where there is an interaction, where there is me giving time to somebody else
Okay.
and them willing to spend their time and money on me.
Mm-hmm.
And that is a one way that you need as an entrepreneur
Mm-hmm.
to be dealing with your clients.
Yeah.
But then to be like really accepting networks, accepting people reaching out, just people looking out for you is a different form interaction of exchange of time and energy and effort and whatever asset is
Okay.
involved.
but that person is not getting anything from it. It's
So you're
just
center
giving.
stage.
No, it's just giving.
Yeah.
So it's pure reception. And it's pure acknowledgement, like, hey, you're good, you're okay, you deserve this, I like you to have this.
Ah,
And
okay, I get you.
the weird part, for instance, with Itzy is that, like, yeah, she's hopefully our first employee.
Mm-hmm.
And still for me to feel comfortable about that.
Mm-hmm.
Be like, yeah, it's good, and I want to make the most out of that, and she's happy with that, and
Mm-hmm.
yeah, ask her for help, all those things. So I think it's just like for me, the place I came from was thinking asking for help is a bad thing,
Mm-hmm.
and when you're asking for help, you're in a bad place,
Mm-hmm.
and you have to turn it off. That's also good. Sorry for that. No, we have to really decline the call.
Okay. Decline.
Yeah. Perfect.
Whew.
Sorry for that.
The most happy ringtone on this planet.
I don't know where I was at.
Accepting and
Yeah,
dedicated.
receiving love and care, but as an entrepreneur is also people allowing you to grow, and in Dutch they say gunnen. I really feel like I deserve it, but the emotional comfort to be like asking for things, and first of all dealing with disappointment if the answer is no, if it's impossible.
Mm-hmm.
That one I worked through, and now to really lean into the comfort and joy of asking people for help. And
Seeing what comes back.
yeah, so for instance, the call I had today from Marika, who just called me because she wanted to brainstorm with me and have a good call and help me with an initiative.
Mm-hmm.
And I used the excuse that I was in bed and my head was a bit in the clouds, but she just called to help me. And we rescheduled it because I really needed to get into the headspace, like, hey, this lady's here to help me. And I spent this call about an hour just talking about her situation and just being a listening
So you
ear.
give something in return before you.
Yeah, and if you
able-
observe that of
Oh
yourself,
wow, interesting.
it's interesting, and to realize I like that of myself, to be not just, hey, help me and then bye, but to understand that, like, if somebody shows up in front of me like, hey, you needed that help, here I am, let's go. I'm like, what can I do in the meanwhile for you? You know?
Yeah,
That's where I'm at.
interesting one.
Yeah, and I see you asking me for help. I've seen you ask other people for help. Also struggling plenty times that you're like, no, I need to do it myself, or I need to understand it myself, like
I'm more
outsourcing
in the
stuff.
camp. Yeah, but I'm more in the camp. I can outsource as soon as I understand it myself, because then I can estimate how much time it takes, etc., etc. That's where I'm at. So that's what I was always doing when I was, whatever job I was starting. I wanted to understand the basement, really the foundation of something, until I was like, now I can hire someone because this is what I need someone for.
Yeah, and I'm also happy, for instance, in
Yeah.
your shop example, I could have done the whole Shopify stuff for you. It's not rocket science, it's just figuring stuff out. But just to say no there and be like, you can do that by yourself, that was a super huge step for me in changing, for instance, my role as an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, every time you wanted to change something in your shop, you would be like, oh, it's so hard, can you help me? And now you're like, oh, I gotta change this thing. It's not hard, it just takes time.
Exactly. Or whatever source. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, but I find that, I don't know, I really also never liked there will be codependency again. In some sense,
you need
in a
somebody-
relationship, when people, I really don't like when people are like, oh, I'm not so good with technology. That's why I have him and he knows everything. I really don't like that. Maybe you're better with something. Maybe I'm better with something else. But to be like, I have, like, for me, this is a black hole. I have no idea, but he knows. I really don't like that. I find that super difficult. It's like, I don't want to be dependent in that sense. It's good to understand those things and really know how shit works.
Yeah, as an example, you want to believe that you're better at doing the laundry than me, but you just have trust issues with the laundry. I do great laundry. The machine does the laundry. I just push the button. Just because I washed something at 90 degree once doesn't make me a barbarian. I still know how to push buttons.
Yeah, it's true, but you gotta press the right buttons.
All right, let's round up on the biggest change we have ahead of us for a while is Colombia,
Yep.
because I think that's a topic untouched. So for me, I really wanted to go to Colombia and really live there, and it was just a dream
Yeah.
and something that I put an imaginary timeline of 3 to 5 years on.
Yeah.
And then you got there for the first time and you were like, hey, I can do this. What's up with that?
I can do this. Like, we can do this.
Yeah. Yeah, well, we can definitely do it, but that's
Yeah.
always a big decision. Like, if you're in the camp of the schemers, you're like, yeah, what if I go there and it doesn't go right between us? Then I'm there. So you're also not thinking we can do this. You're also thinking, yeah, if I go there.
But that was the whole point. When we went last year in November, I was like, you told me before, you told me super early. And then I was like, nice, good for you. I got to experience it myself. And that's what I did when we went. It took me more than a week to really fall in love with the city myself. And then I was like, I can do it. We can do it. So when we came back, I was like, no matter what, I would also move myself. You know, like that's why when we move and things would go to shit, it's not that I would never say, oh, I did it for you. I never wanted to, because that would be just the wrong approach. I needed to fall in love with it myself and really embrace it for me.
Okay, that's interesting. I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm.
So you would also move there in either case. You're like,
I think so. I'm definitely not staying here. That was always a temp situation to be. That's why I guess everything in me is denying to learn Dutch. And I kind of never felt like I would need to.
een beetje.
Een beetje, yeah. But no, honestly, I never considered that as my destination for long term. It was always a stopover. And I think, yeah, I really fell in love with Colombia. I really fell in love
So
with
that's not
Medellin.
even related to me. That's just a place.
It is related to you for sure. I think it's a dream that we both pursue in that sense. And we want to build something together. But I'm not doing it because of you. I'm doing it with you.
Fair enough. I'll allow it.
Great. Yeah.
Do you have anything left for today?
No, I think pretty good. I think it was a very insightful episode. I'd like to
It's good
see
to
more.
reflect on the years, see what kind of changes you go through. If you have family members, if you have loved ones, the people who inspire you to change, to do the things that you find difficult to do, take a moment, give them props, see how they react to being actually a mirror, being a source of inspiration.
And most people don't really know that they are a source of inspiration. So I think that's also beautiful to reach out and be like, hey, auntie, friend, whatever, thank you so much, because that back then got me so inspired that I changed in that direction.
Yeah.
I think that's really powerful.
Thank you all for tuning in. Thank you all for sharing, listening, liking, subscribing, all that stuff.
Yeah.
And we'll see you on the next Love Change.
Out.